I can tell that you're taking him very seriously, and a lot of people saying, well, Daniel Cormier, he's on a 10-fight win streak, and no one's really heard of Dion Staring, so, he might get caught here, taking him lightly, but you're not taking anyone lightly. You're taking this guy very seriously, and that's obviously the right approach. Were you maybe disappointed that one of those guys in the UFC didn't take the fight, because it would have been maybe higher profile and more eyes would have been on the fight?
Well, I think initially there's always disappointment. I think the biggest disappointment was Frank getting hurt. When Frank got hurt, that sucked, because I was really looking forward to test myself against another former UFC champion, as Josh Barnett was. So when Frank pulled out, I was pretty hurt, and disappointed. But you know what, man? With time, that all goes away.
Yeah.
I tried. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to be as professional as I can be, and being that this is my job and this is how I provide for my family. When they told me Frank Mir wasn't fighting, Czech Congo turned down the fight, Matt Mitrione turned down the fight, all I could do is just focus on the guy they put in front of me. And when they said it was Dion, I said, okay. So now Dion Staring becomes Frank Mir. Dion Staring becomes Junior Dos Santos. Dion Staring becomes everybody. Dion Staring becomes the best fighter in the world because I have to prepare for him as such. Otherwise, I won't be in the right frame of mind. So he became the best fighter in the world the moment that it was announced that him and I would be fighting.
Is a fight with Frank Mir something you still want down the road, or it doesn't really matter?
No, I want to fight Frank. I want my first fight in the UFC to be against Frank Mir. It's a big fight. And also, I trained for Frank Mir. I put in a full training camp. When Frank pulled out of that fight, I continued to train. I was 8 weeks into my training camp when Frank got hurt. I was putting in a 12-week camp. And I was 8 weeks into my camp when Frank got hurt. So I put in a full training camp, and I would like to fight Frank. I think if after Kane and Junior fights on Saturday, and then if I fight Frank in the spring after Dion, it would give the division some time to shake out, because if Overeem can get past Bigfoot, it's obvious he's next. So it would give us a little time to shake out, and if a victory over someone like Frank would actually put me in the driver's seat for the next title shot.
Now, that next title shot could come against Cain Velasquez. I'm thinking that you would assume that next title shot would be against Cain Velasquez. Is that something you really want?
Well, I mean, I'm hoping and keep my fingers crossed that Cain wins on next Saturday.
Yeah.
And he beats Alistair Overeem afterwards, and then I have to cut some weight. That would be my, for me personally, that would be as satisfying as anything. Seeing him win and hold on to that belt for a while. And if that's the case, I would have to start cutting some weight and try to go down to 205 pounds.
Now, speaking of dropping down to 205 pounds, you were recently quoted saying that you want to fight Jon Jones. He's one of your dream opponents, if you will, in the UFC. Considering his style, how do you think you would measure up going against Jon Jones?
I think it would be good. Obviously it would be a very difficult fight because, I think he's the best fighter in the world. Anderson Silva's amazing. If you stick Anderson Silva in a cage with Jon Jones is going to win. I think he has the style that matches up well with anyone. And I think it'll be a tough fight, but I think it'll be a great fight. His biggest advantage is his wrestling. A lot of times whenever he gets uncomfortable, he takes guys down. And that actually would not be available to him in a fight with me. And
you cut down to 205 pounds before when wrestling, and it was problematic for you. How are you going to be able to do that this time around if you will drop to 205 pounds?
Well, first thing, I would have to actually just be lighter. I wouldn't be able to cut from 240, 245 pounds as I was when I was wrestling. And also, you know what, man? I've got to use all the resources that are available to me now that I did before. It's well documented that in wrestling, we're not making the best money. They're doing a much better job now of getting these guys some money and getting these guys sponsors. But when I was wrestling, there was not much money because I wasn't winning at the highest levels. But now, I've made some money, I've made some cash, so I have the ability to hire someone, handle my nutrition, and monitor me very closely.
Are you in a weird position weight-wise because on the one hand, maybe you don't want to be too big so that if you do have to cut to 205 at some point, it's possible. But on the other hand, you don't want to be too small of a heavyweight. Are you in a tough situation as far as where exactly you want your weight to be? Sorry, DC, you're cutting out there. Can you hear me? Uh-oh. Having phone issues there with Daniel Cormier. Hopefully we can get him back. Oh, well, that's disappointing. Kevin, you want to go see if we can get him back on the line? Just going to ask Daniel Cormier about... He cut off there? All right, well, let's hope he calls back, shall we? Wanted to ask him about the weight cut, because I figure he's in a weird spot, right? If he is thinking about dropping down to 205, and there he is, I think we'll just throw him back on the air. Daniel, you with us?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, you're all good. Did you?
Sorry, dude. I was walking. I'm walking up the driveway back to my place. I'll be inside in a second. I'm sorry.
All right, that's all right. Did you hear the question? I was wondering about your weight. I mean, you're thinking about possibly going down to 205 in the future, but at the same time, you don't want to be too small of a heavyweight. So are you kind of in a tough position as far as how much you want to weigh right now?
No, not necessarily, man. You know, when I fought Josh Barnett, the morning of the weigh-in, I was about 233. 233 too. So I felt great in that fight. I felt fast. My cardio felt good, and I just felt good all around. So if I can stay around that, it doesn't matter who I'm fighting.
All right, so that's a comfortable weight for you. Well, it's good to know. And, that fight January 12th is going to be fantastic. It's going to be in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Now, of course, you went to college in Oklahoma. Are you happy to be going back to the Okie State?
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm pumped, man. All my friends and family out in Oklahoma. My family down in Louisiana. It's not that far a drive. So I'm going to get to have a good crowd of people there to support me. And just to be back. I lived in Oklahoma for 10 years. I was there from college up until I moved to California in 2010. So I was there for a long time, and it's a great place. I can't wait to get back.
And now you're in full training camp, getting ready for that fight January the 12th. The holiday season, Christmas time, a lot of people like to indulge and eat and stuff like that. But you're a heavyweight, so is that going to be a problem for you watching your eating during the holidays, or you're not worried?
Not too worried about it. I'm just going to eat like normal, but, you got to kind of monitor it. You don't want to get out of control because you put in a lot of work to get yourself around the weight that you want to be and feeling good, So it's not necessarily about weight. It's about feeling good and feeling comfortable. So I'm not going to go too crazy because I feel good where I am now, and I don't want to mess that up at all. I don't want to set myself back at all.
Are you training Christmas Day? Is the gym open?
The gym's not open, but I'm going to run, and I'm probably, I got 2 young kids, man, so my Christmas Day is pretty much booked up with my young boy and my little girl. But after I get up and we take the cookies outside and we take the cookies outside and make them go and see that Santa Claus came, and everything, give them their gifts. Then I got to get up and go out for run 3-4 miles, and I can come home and enjoy the day.
With 2 young children, what would you think if they said that they wanted to be a mixed martial artist, both your son and your daughter?
I'd say get a job. Let Daddy do the fighting. Hopefully the fighting can set us up for the rest of our lives, and then you guys can just go to school and focus on school and do a job that you don't get punched in the face. Listen, my kids are too pretty anyway to fight. I wasn't blessed with the looks that they have, so I can go in there and get my face bashed, and I'll be fine. My boy's a little too pretty to be a fighter, actually.
All right, well, Daniel Cormier, I'm sure you're going to have a great fight January the 12th. I can't wait. It's going to be a great card, and I hope you and your family have a great Christmas. It's been great talking to you, and, good luck in training camp. Hope everything goes well, and good luck on January 12th.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Hey, to everyone that's listening, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. I wish you guys all happy holidays, and tune in to 2013. It should be a very good year for me.